primary health center, and also 104 unity schools nationwide. This is one of the things that Nigerian government has done to improve the standard of our citizens. Still on the area of infrastructure, Nigerian government has done that electricity meters to all those unpaid consumers on August 2020. Also, the Central Bank of Nigeria has delivered 150 billion naira for the target of the first phase, with a target of 1 million meter installation. Not only that, the family home installation has provided, it's also the implementing agency for the Nigerian government administration. It's also the implementing agency for the Nigerian government administration. I think that is not enough. Nigerian government has taken numerous efforts towards the health, economic and social impact of the COVID-19. Nigerian government has given palliatives all her citizens in form of food items and assets. My humble submission, Mr. Chairman, is that really Nigerian government has done more good than harm to our citizens.
Moderator, the panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and my listeners. By name, I am Miss Obeta Treasure Chidebere from John University Memorial Grammar School, standing before you to oppose the notion which states that the Nigerian government has done more good than harm for her citizens. First, the government can be defined in three phases, and that is, the government is an institution of the state, government is an academic field of study, and government as a process of art of governance. Now, in this case, I am going to go with the first and the third phases. Defining government as an institution of the state sets the government as a machinery established by the state to organize the state, manage its affairs, and administer its functions and duties. Government as a process or art of governing refers to a body vested with the supreme power to handle the affairs of the state, meaning that the government here has been vested with the power to maintain peace and security within its jurisdiction. Now let's look into the Nigerian government and see if they actually fulfill these functions. First, the issue of insecurity. Nigeria has long centered on the principles of failure, but now unable to keep our citizens safe and secure, Nigeria has become a fully failed state of critical geopolitical concern. Her failure matters because the peace and prosperity of Africa and stopping the spread of disorder and militancy around the globe depends on a stronger Nigeria being the giant of Africa. Her economy is usually estimated to be the largest or second largest after South Africa, but that was then. According to political theory, the government's inability to thwart the Boko Haram insurgency is enough to diagnose Nigeria as a failed state, even though there are other symptoms. At a bare minimum, citizens expect their government to keep them secure from external attacks and to keep them safe within their jurisdiction. The bargain that subjects long ago made with their sovereign was being kept from harm in exchange for allegiance and taxation. Now, when that quid pro quo breaks down, the state loses its coherence, its social fabric disintegrates, and warring factions subvert the social contract that should provide the fundamental foundation of the state. Every year, we lose lives that could have been saved if the government had improved the educational sectors, law enforcement agencies, health sectors, military forces, amongst other vital sectors in the economy. Statistics have proven that the Boko Haram insurgency has claimed at least 100,000 lives, displaced more than 2.6 million people, led to about cost paying and harm to over 52,211 orphans and 51,911 widows, and led to about $9 billion worth of damage. Over the years, Nigerian citizens have long hoped that one day this attack will cease, especially when the present administration came with their manifesto that has changed written all over. But it occurs to me that my own government is afraid. Now tell me, if the government of the state is afraid, what then do you expect the citizens to do? Going down to the health sector, Nigeria, as we all know, has a shortage of doctors. Although Chris Winkike, a medical doctor as well as Nigeria's Minister for Labour, claimed in a TV interview held in April 24th that Nigeria has more than enough doctors, the country in reality only has 3.8 doctors per 10,000 people and 0.38 doctors per 1,000 people. Statistics have equally proven that healthcare in Nigeria is completely underfunded. Nigeria has gone from being comparable to the rest of the world in the 70s and early 80s to one of the world's most underfunded and least robust. Despite the State of One declaration made by the African heads of state, known as the Abuja heads of state, to allocate at least 15% of the annual budget to healthcare. So certain Nigerian government ever since then have allocated under 10% of the annual budget to healthcare, which is very poor. Due to systematic issues coupled with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, vulnerable Nigerians have lost their access to quality healthcare, thereby reducing the quality of life and the ability to live themselves from abject poverty. When Mr. President arrived in office, he promised to raise the standard of living with basic healthcare part of the deal. I quote according to his statement, I am aware that the out-of-pocket payment for health constitutes over 70% of the annual budget. This was a statement he made at the opening of a new facility in 2017. He continues, my presidency demonstrates our administration's commitment to put the health of Nigerians as the #1 priority. Now, 6 years in office, Mr. President has elected not to risk treatment in a Nigerian hospital. On Tuesday, Nigerian doctors were about to commence a strike to protest poor conditions. The 78-year-old president took up to the UK for his fifth medical trip as president. Not as a result of poor issues, as a result of injuries he sustained in the hands of EFCC during interrogations. In addition to Mr. President's choice of overseas treatment, he equally overlooks Nigeria when it comes to the education of his children. In 2016, his son and two daughters graduated from the University of the UK, while the average Nigerian youth is taking ages to graduate in Nigeria thanks to dilapidated teaching aids and poor infrastructure in their schools. This is for you to see and know that in Nigeria, there is no system, there is no systematic movement of the government. Now tell me, how has the government been good to us? I believe with these points that I've delivered, I've been able to convince you beyond all reasonable doubt that the Nigerian government has done absolutely no good to our citizens. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, the moderator, the impartial panel of adjudicators, accurate timekeepers, my friends in argument at the General Hall. Standing before you is I by name Peace Okorafor from St. Charles Grammar School, Olo. It's a rare privilege given to me to stand before you this evening to propose the motion which says Nigerian government has done more good than harm to our citizens. In addition to what my chief speaker has said, I support her with this following point of mind. Nigerian government has served our citizens through agricultural development program. ABP is one of the programs launched by the Nigerian government to help farmers in the country. The Anchors Borrowers Program (ABP) of the Central Bank of Nigeria, launched by the federal government of Nigeria on November 17, 2015, has made over more than 300 billion naira to more than 3.1 million small shareholders of 21 different commodities, including fish, poultry, maize, and cassava, cultivating over 3.8 million hectares of farmland. This is one of the ways Nigerian government has improved the standard of living for their citizens. Not only that, the Nigerian government, through the Agricultural Development Commission, introduced the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, launched as a government-to-government program between Nigerian government and Moroccan government. In December 2016, the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative produced 12 million 50 kg bags of MPK 2010 equivalent in 2020, bringing total production over 30 million 50 MPKG of fertilizer. This, with the above stated point of mine, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that truly Nigerian government has done more good.
Good evening, moderator, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and the audience. I'm by name Chukuma Abigail from John UOESD Memorial Grammar School. I'm here to oppose the notion that states that Nigerian government has done more good than harm to our citizens with the following point of mind. First, what is leadership? Leadership simply means the state or position of being a leader. The problem with Nigerian leaders is their unwillingness and inability to rise to their responsibility. Quoting Chinua Achebe, who once said, and I quote, "The problem of Nigeria is that of leadership and not of followership." Bearing this in mind, let us now look at how successive Nigerian government has served the citizens of the country. Quoting Professor Tahiru Jaga, a one-time INEC chairman who recently said he hates being part of a false system, referring to Nigeria. This is to show that even the elite admits that there is failure in part of leadership in Nigerian government. Furthermore, the Igbos have the saying, literally, this means that every country is endowed by God with material resources to excel. But with Nigerian government, we have successive government putting a spare peg in a round hole. As history has shown, any country who abandons making use of the right resources will soon find themselves in oblivion. The Roman and the Greek are typical examples to such. In as much as it would be wrong of me to compare Nigeria with other progressive countries, I would like to say that successive Nigerian government has failed our people in some fundamental human rights. A good example is the case of Deligewa, a journalist who was killed with a letterbox for trying to expose the atrocities committed by successive government. Talk more of Kinsaro and his fellow Ogoni 8, who were murdered for trying to deny for the legitimate right. Do we then say that the right to life has been granted by successive Nigerian government? Of course not. Even my opponents can agree to that. More also, World Bank Organization in 2020 statistics shows that 96% of Nigerians are living in abject poverty. That is, if we are to go with the definition, which says that any citizen living below $1 per day is poor, and that is why Nigeria is ranked #1 country living in abject poverty. So many school pupils are not in school today because they were sacked from their community. So we are not in school today because their classroom has been used to idle people. And the safety of lives and property is no longer being granted. Let us now look at our economy. Successive Nigeria government has good economic policies which look good on paper. We've heard of Vision 2020, but 2020 have come and gone. Instead of upward movement, we are hugely indebted to some other country like China. Our leaders have mortgaged our sovereignty. Thereby, we are now a slave to other countries. Our leaders make policies they used to victimize the citizen. How many politicians have they used the BVN policies to arrest? Let's look at what happened during the NSAS protest when the youth were caught and arrested. So with this point of mind, I think I've been able to convince my cantankerous opponent that Nigerian government has done
The accurate timekeeper. My first argument and then I have. Standing before its students from St. Charles Grammar School all I'm glad for the opportunity given to me to stand before sort of the motion which says the government have done more harm than good to us. In addition to what my colleagues have said, I support them on this point of time. In recent times, the government have committed more than 1.7 trillion of capital intervention in Nigerian tertiary institutions. Through various means, including the tertiary university trust fund, and with the university taking the lion's share of total amount. The federal government of Nigeria have disbursed more than 176 billion naira to universal basic education matching grants to states and the federal capital territory since 2015. Let's do naira for teacher education grants to states and the private providers for private education, and the 4 billion naira from teachers professional development fund to states and federal capital territory. The federal government of Nigeria launched the alternative school program designed to ensure that every out of school children gain access to quality basic education, irrespective of their social, cultural, or economic circumstances, in line with aspirational sustainable development goals. These are evidence that Nigerian government have done more good than harm to our citizens. Nigerian government have approved a new retirement of age 65 years and lent services of 40 years to teachers from public basic and secondary schools, which are effective in February 2020, as well as new special teachers healthcare in 1st January 2021, and also new special teachers pension too. It also a number of out-of-school children by 3,247 and now 3,590 achieved through the World Bank financial program known as Better Education Service Delivery, and the number achieved through formal schools and one of mass intervention such as Amadi, Yauchan, nomadic migrants, and IDPS under the World Bank to protect innovation, development and effectiveness and the acquisition of skills projects approved in 2020. And $200 million have been invested in one of the participating states, Abia, Kano, Ekiti, Edo, Gombe, to mention but the least, as well as 20 federal states, as well as 20 federal science and technical colleges nationwide. Implementation has been set up in 2021 to afford millions of Nigerian youth the opportunity to acquire hands-on skills effectively to contribute to Nigerian national development. These are the things that Nigerian government has done to better the life of our citizens. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control for the first time was founded in 2011. The Nigerian government have approved a grant of 5 billion naira to the NCDC in March 2020 as part of the response to coronavirus pandemic. The number of the key federal hospitals.
the moderator, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and my audience. I am by name Ms. Olomajo Angel from John Igwesi Memorial Grammar School, standing before you to oppose the notion which said that the Nigerian government has done more good than harm to our citizens with the following points of mind. First, funding. There is this saying that health is wealth. The United Nations describe health as the total well-being of the body, mind, and soul. Bearing this in mind, even my opponents can agree with me that no single soul under this vicinity can boast of 100% healthcare. Why is that? Because the Nigerian government has not done much for the well-being of the citizens. Our health workers are the least paid among all the health workers across the globe. That's why we're having the brain drain in the health sector. Now, in 2019, the Nigerian healthcare budget was 50.15 billion naira. Then, in 2020, amid the coronavirus pandemic, it dropped down to 46 billion naira with a population of 200 million people. While South Africa, with a population of 59.62 million people, budgeted 21.5 billion rounds for healthcare, which is equivalent to 659 billion naira in Nigerian currency. Now, compare Nigeria's healthcare budget and population with that of South Africa. For decades, Nigerians have paid for their leaders and former rulers' healthcare abroad and gotten little healthcare at home. It is evident that every president accesses medical facilities outside the country. The best clinic in Nigeria does not suffice to treat Mr. President's ear infection, nor does Mr. President have confidence in those same clinics to do his routine checkups. Instead of them to equip these hospitals in Nigeria with the necessary equipment needed, they travel to places like USA, Great Britain, India for treatment, which has made significant profit from their frequent trips at the slightest ill health. Now, then imagine the fate of all the Nigerians who have no choice but to seek treatment at the ill-equipped, regionally funded hospitals. How insensitive can the Nigerian government be? They don't even care about the well-being of the citizens. Yes, someone is telling me that they are good to us. What an irony. Also, corruption. There's this evil idea that says that when you hold someone, you are equally holding yourself. Corruption from the leaders is the biggest reason for the downfall of most empires and civilizations. Some people tolerate corruption as long as their leaders champion their race or religion. Why some tolerate bribery? In conclusion, unemployment. There is this saying that an idle man is the devil's workshop. We can't deny the glaring fact that the unemployment rate in our country is high and increases by the day, thereby making avenues for common crimes to become the order of the day and a source of income for the unemployed. There is this evil eye that says that it will go and we come. When the wind blows, it exposes the animals of the fowl. The lazy Nigerian youth is a social media revolt by the Nigerian youth against their president while seeking the Commonwealth reform at Kensington at April 18, 2018. Mr. President said in response to an interview question about a very unrelated topic that the Nigerian youth are very, very lazy and are not going to school and want everything free, including education and health care. Earlier this year, in analysis by the Yaris University, showed that the Nigerian youth are the most educated among immigrants in the country. Our graduates with first-class results and exemplary results are subdued to Minato jobs, which is not their area of professionalism or specialization, just to put on the table. Why? Because the Nigerian government does not provide vacancy for them to be employed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In conclusion, just a minute for first speaker from
I still maintain firmly on the fact that the Nigerian government has done more good than harm to her citizens. I overheard my opponent say that there is high rate of insecurity in Nigeria. But Mr. Moderator, permit me to ask them this question. Is the Nigerian government because of the insecurity? The answer is capital NO. But rather, some opposition parties and politicians are those using those hoodlums to cooperate and to slow down the effort of the Nigerian government. That is why Nigerian government has done all that numerous things to help improve the standard of our citizens. In conclusion, I urge the General House to address him with my team today because we agree on a clear point and not on baseless ground. Whether my opponents say agree with it or not, Nigerian government has seen they don't more good than harm to our citizens. My humble
again, in conclusion,
thank you, the moderator, for giving me yet another opportunity to summarize my point. In summary of the points I delivered, I am going to quote verbatim a speech made by the wife of the president, Her Excellency Aisha Buhari. Thus, before I commence my speech, I would like to be realistic and say a few words concerning health and health delivery system in Nigeria. She said, the Nigerian health sector is in a very poor state, sorry to say the least. I am happy the CMD of ASO Clinic is here. Is he around? Dr. Hussein Munir, consultant, cardiologist, and chief medical director at the State House Medical Center. Okay, he's around. Okay, Dr. Munir, I am happy you are here. As you all know, Nigeria wasn't stable as a result of my husband's ill health. We thank God he's fully recovered now. If someone like Mr. President can spend several months outside Nigeria, then imagine what will happen to the common men on the streets. A few weeks ago, I was sick as well. They advised me to take a first trip out of Nigeria. I refused to go. I said I must be treated in Nigeria. I said I must be treated in Nigeria because there is a budget for an assigned clinic to take care of us. Now, if such a statement, if such a speech can come out from the wife of the president claiming that there is poor state of health in Nigeria, then I don't see why any other person who has such belief the Nigerian government has been practicing.
Thank you very much. You can freely and joyfully get back to your seats. A round of applause for them. Freely and joyfully get back to your seats. Thank you. We will now call on.
If you are looking at life only from the negative perspective, then take it from me, the guy to lose right, controls the opportunity that comes around you, people go. You can only tell a blind man there is no oil in a soup, but you cannot tell him there is no salt. Because his tongue shall always be a proof of test. Cogito ego song, permit me to recognize the sacrosanct of Mr. Moderator, panel of adjudicators, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and the proof ladies and gentlemen. My cognomen is Obiga Samuel, student of Piaton College. I rise categorically as an established to propose the notion which says that Nigerian government has done more good than harm to our citizens. But before I unravel and progress my point in furtherance, permit me to take a picture into my words. Talking about the bad one doesn't mean the good one doesn't exist. An anatomic compendium of all around government in Nigeria since inception. Its economic, political, social, otherwise, and environmental has been a generation of pieces in circle. Many may base on the Spanish institution that represent government in sample, but that is an apathetic fallacy. The prima facie and of mathematics of Eto's rule of 20 over 80%. 20% for represent government, whereas 80% for represent government. Perhaps represent government is not stated in the topic. In principle, according to John Kennedy, his memorable observation which goes thus: think not what America can do for you, but what you can do for America. Same implies in Nigeria. When government is out of putting white thoughts into prudent action in a way that advances the well-being of those governed, said that in the third year of political stabilization, this government has been democratic and diplomatic in building the relations for emotional intelligence, increase the public support for difficult choices, investors and business confidence, managing risks and promoting economic security, popular participation, achievements as well as increasing the priorities of priorities. And some of the examples embedded in our leaders in the execution of tax in pro rata, alongside with this political economic analysis, all human-based system revenue, peace and order, so that maintaining the standard of living without ramifications. Moreover, there is no army in the world that is as powerful as an idea whose time has just come, just as the Agrarian age is emphasizing on the planning and employment idea. But far away from being historically normal, the whole concept of being an employee is actually a very recent phenomenon. On July 13, 2009, the Time magazine ran a piece on page 2 called 10 Questions for Robert Kiyosaki. One of the questions was, are there really opportunities to create new company in this surplus economy? He answered, this is the best time. When time are bad is when the real entrepreneur emerge. Entrepreneurs don't really care if the market is ups or down. They create product and progress. So when someone says, oh, there is less opportunity or no job, it's because they are losers. Wealth is the product of man capacity to think, say around one. On the one hand, the agricultural sector have employed about 31.5% of the country's workforce and have contributed about 21.9% of the country's GDP. Also, the industry, tourism, communication system, military are not left behind, contributing at 40.5% of the country's GDP. And it has also helped to reduce the highest of unemployment in Nigeria. My dear opponent, if this is what you term harmful, it means that in a state of tiny microscopic evidence model that is not real. In this state of primitive chaotism, why can't you join me technologically to welcome the overarching power and achievement of Nigerian government? Work always seems easy if you are not the one doing it. And that's my case.
Good evening, the moderator, the judges, accurate fellow debaters, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Okobo Kamje from the Vinelab Secondary School, and I am here to oppose the motion which says that the Nigerian government has done more good than harm to its citizens. As a preamble, I'd like to assert that President Muhammadu Buhari owed his March 2015 election victory to a large extent to his enticing campaign manifesto, which included over 15 general promises and about 30 specific ones. For clarity's sake, let's take just a few of these specific promises. Engagement of 1 million youths or graduates yearly, resuscitation of the education system, completion of the second Niger Bridge, construction and rehabilitation of roads across the nation, inclusion of more youth and women in governance, eradication of poverty and hunger, fight against corruption and insecurity. These and many more were all documented by the ICPC, that is the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission. Now the question is this: has the government scored a pass mark in all these promises? The answer is a resounding no. It is a no because the Nigerian roads, which are heated to refer to as death traps, and non-death goals swallowing citizens in their thousands. It's estimated that over 40,000 persons lose their lives yearly while traveling on Nigerian roads. From our villages to districts, from districts to towns, cities and to states, the trajectory is the same. We do not have motorable roads. What we have are death goals. Take for instance, any route on Onitsha Express Road, Kaduna Abuja Road, Abuja to Lokoja to Okene Road. The list is much. Again, the private sector under this present government in Nigeria, coupled with the very high tariff with the power distribution charges. Till date, citizens are still wondering and asking what happened to all the huge amounts budgeted for the completion of the ongoing Singeri hydropower project. Nigeria is endowed with enormous natural and human resources, sufficient to place it among the first 20 developed countries of the world as we are Africa's largest producer of oil. But greed and deep-rooted corruption has kept us permanently on the list of developing countries. We produce oil, but our refineries are comatose and underperforming. Nigeria possesses over 100 federal and state tertiary institutions, turning out over 200,000 graduates per annum, but there are no employment opportunities for them. The recent president of Nigeria promised to reduce the education sector, but today our lecturers go on indefinite strike, trying to pressure the government to provide a conducive teaching and learning environment for them. A close interview with a Nigerian student will let you understand that even the youth have lost hope in education. He will tell you that it is frustrating to school in Nigeria, and after all their struggle, no job. They will show you siblings and friends who have lost. They'll show you siblings and friends who are supposed to acquire a degree or even two in the education, but have been forced by reality to become taxi drivers, keke drivers, security men, and other demanding jobs. My opponents might ask, can the government provide it for all its citizens? I answer in the negative. But mind you, my point is the percentage of those that engage with agree. There are many of you that are left in the cold, so to speak. Again, the Nigerian government, especially this present administration, promised to reduce poverty to the barest minimum. Over the years, poverty has maintained a rising trend, particularly in the rural areas. It is estimated that 120 million out of 200 million population of Nigeria live in extreme poverty, majority being youth without employment opportunities due to corrupt civil services, inconsistent government policies, misappropriation of funds for empowerment schemes. For instance, the minimum wage for government workers is 30,000 naira per month. Now tell me how an individual will be able to pay his house rent, electricity bills, water bills, sanitation, transportation, clothing, feeding, medical, with the sum of 30,000 naira unless a miracle occurs. How insensitive and wicked this is, where our politicians appropriate jumbo salaries for themselves. Recently, economists reported that the Nigerian lawmakers' basic salary amounted to 188 times the country's GDP per capita, while that of Britain is 26 times their GDP. Now, this making our National Assembly the parliament with the highest basic salary on planet Earth. Again, the present president of Nigeria swore under oath to tackle corruption headlong. But what do we have today? Corruption has not only eaten deep into our national fabric, it's eating up a considerable part of our national fabric, making our country we have become a laughing stock in the community of nations. Against this backdrop, my team and I strongly believe and assert that the Nigerian government has done more harm than good.
Thank you very much.
Meritis ordinance quantum adome vivetum, but when he debates it becomes a conspirator with adverse friends. So with this good day moderator, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, I co-debaters, and the general house. My cognomen is Onyema Shalom. I rise categorically to propose the notion which states that Nigerian government has done more good than harm to its citizens. The transportation and everything which we use for coming here, because I know none of us will come here through trekking. Many of us will come through through transportation. But now they will say that everything depends in government, which they don't even participate in their own. Secondly, free school and scholarship is awarded to best students. According to Professor Narendra Modi, these days, and I quote, people's participation depends in their ability to counter and do everything for the government, not only government doing their own for them. Finally, we Habas Odende Odenda, I hereby say to all of us here that government has been doing their trust progress, that it is only left for us to do our own, and God will be at last for us in Jesus' name.